Heartwarming tale. Orphan girl forced into marriage discovers she has married a secret billionaire. Ella blinked against the morning sun, its warm rays flickering through the window like a gentle reminder of the world outside her worries. The harvest festival was just around the corner, and stoic townsfolk buzzed with excitement, planning for parades of laughter, golden fields, and vibrant stalls. She felt trapped in a different kind of buzz, the hum of family expectations that pulsed through her life. Every detail of her impending marriage to Jake, the local farmer, seemed smothered with tradition, as if her worth depended solely on this union. A twinge of panic gripped her. What if she was never more than another piece in the carved tableau of rural life? The aroma of apple cider filled her nostrils, but all she could really smell was resignation. Jake was a good man, hard-working and sturdy as an oak tree. But did he love her? Or was she just a solution to flesh out the family's legacy? Ella sighed, glancing at her reflection in the cracked mirror, an orphan girl dressed in borrowed dreams, yearning for a family that felt real. This was a day she was supposed to look forward to, yet her heart thudded heavy in her chest. One evening, as stars blanketed the sky, she and Jake shared the porch swing, the soft creak matching the rhythm of their laughter. They talked late into the night, peeling back layers of their lives. Jake spoke of his struggles to save the family farm, revealing a depth she hadn't expected. And then the jaw-dropping revelation. He wasn't just a humble farmer. No, he was a secret billionaire, cloaked in normalcy to escape the shadows of privilege and judgment. Ella's heart raced. "Why would you hide that?" she asked, stunned. "I didn't want to be just a rich guy," he confessed, eyes flickering in the dim light. "This town's opinions suffocate me. I wanted to be seen for who I am, not what I have." Ella felt her world shift, the notion of love reshaping right in front of her. They discussed wealth and worth, class and connection, as they forged an understanding that pulled them closer together, stringing invisible threads that intertwined their hearts. But just as their bond blossomed, shadows from Ella's past emerged. The doorbell rang one afternoon, forcing her to face her estranged biological family, the bloodline she had long hidden from. They stood there, unyielding, demanding loyalty and attention. Panic gripped her, swirling emotions clashing within. Would she reclaim her past traumas or embrace the future Jake envisioned? The memories came rushing back. Messy holidays with squabbling relatives, the chaos that felt like home but also like a trap as Jake watched her struggle. The community buzz intensified around them. Their whispers filled the air with expectations, every gaze heavy with judgment. Ella was at a crossroads, teetering between the promise of a safe life with Jake and the chaotic history of her roots. What if she chose wrong? The thought weighed down on her, but there was a glimmer of hope fighting to break through the doubts festering in her mind. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the wedding approached, Ella felt the weight of her choice. The small town held its breath. Would she dare challenge the status quo? Heart pounding, she faced her reflection again, searching for courage. Thoughts of Jake's effortless smile filled her mind. Was this a new life she could step into? Or was it time to return to the chaos she knew all too well? The final question loomed large. What did it truly mean to belong? Ella awoke the next morning with the rising sun casting gold across her room. The air felt charged with anticipation, as though the very walls were whispering secrets of the coming festival. Yet, in her heart, a tempest brewed. She had only a few days left to decide to embrace the life Jake offered or to plunge back into the heavy embrace of her past. In the distance, the townspeople were already busy setting up for the harvest festival. Brightly colored banners fluttered in the breeze. Laughter and chatter bubbled through the streets. But to Ella, the joy felt like a distant echo, muted by her inner turmoil. She dressed slowly, her fingers trembling as she laced up her shoes. Each step toward the door felt like a leap into the unknown, the festival grounds. The sights and sounds overwhelmed her. Families gathered, children's laughter intertwined with the sweet aroma of spiced pastries. She watched as people wove around her, deeply engrossed in their celebration, a part of something she felt increasingly distant from. And yet, the moment she spotted Jake, everything shifted. His broad smile beamed across the crowd, transforming the chaos into a cocoon of warmth. "Hey you," he called, jogging over with an infectious energy. Ella couldn't help but smile back, temporarily forgetting her worries. "Ready for the festival?" he asked, his eyes sparkling with eagerness. "Yeah, I guess so." She forced her voice to remain steady, even as emotions churned inside her. As they walked through the stalls, Ella noticed how Jake interacted with everyone, effortlessly bridging worlds. With a kind word and a gentle laugh, he made the festival feel more alive. She felt a growing sense of his connection to this place, a love that transcended wealth or status. But still, a shadow lurked behind her. The faces of her estranged family haunted her thoughts, demanding to be acknowledged. "Ella, are you all right?" Jake's voice cut through her reverie, concern etching his brow. Her heart ached. "I feel torn, Jake. There's so much history I can't seem to shake." He paused, taking her hands in his. "You don't have to choose right now. You know that, right? We can figure this out together. I appreciate that, but I don't want to hold you back from being who you are." Tears prickled at the corners of her eyes, threatening to spill over. Jake shook his head, fiercely. "What I want is you, Ella. No title, no legacy, just you." His sincerity sent warmth cascading over Ella, but the fear of what lay ahead closed around her like a heavy cloak. Suddenly, a shout broke through the levity, spiraling her thoughts. Her family had arrived at the festival, their presence looming like a storm cloud over the colorful scene. Guards at the gate, they scanned the area with hawk-like precision. Ella's breath quickened. Instinctively, she moved to hide behind a booth, her heart thudding against her ribs. "Ella, I know you're here." A voice she remembered all too well rang out. Her sister. Fight or flight surged in her veins, and she felt painfully small. Jake stepped closer, wrapping an arm around her protectively. "Stay behind me," he whispered. But Ella could feel her resolve crumbling. The festival was supposed to be a day of joy, yet it felt like the very heavens were conspiring against her. Those moments spent laughing with Jake faded, and the sharp edges of her past loomed larger than ever as the familiar voices echoed through the festival. Ella stood at a crossroads once more. What would she say? Would she confront her family's expectations? Or would she choose to step further into the life with Jake, where possibilities awaited her like the harvest treats laid out on the table? In that moment, she realized the journey was about more than just choosing between two lives. It was about reclaiming her identity as Ella, the girl who had survived. And just then, clarity swept over her, igniting a spark that dared her to move. But before she could fully grasp it, a commotion erupted nearby. Was it a chance encounter or a disastrous twist of fate waiting to unfold? Ella's heart raced, and she took a breath, ready to face whatever came next. A thrill of anxiety rushed through Ella as she edged closer to Jake, searching his face for reassurance. Her family was here, but so was he, the man who made her heart flutter with each glance. Could she really do this? Was it time to finally confront her past? The noise of the festival faded into a dull hum as Ella's gaze fixated on the booth where her sister stood, eyes scanning with a mix of concern and authority. "We have to move," she whispered to Jake, panic bubbling beneath the surface. "We can stand our ground," Jake said, firm yet gentle. "You don't have to run." But fear clawed at Ella, intertwining with the spark of determination that had sparked moments before. "I can't," she murmured, shaking her head. "You don't understand what they'll do." Jake frowned but squeezed her hand tighter. "Then let us face them together. You're not alone anymore." Ella hoped it was true. She could almost hear her mother's voice in her head, a mix of disappointment and scorn. Would they condemn her for the choices she had made since leaving them? For wanting a life defined by her own desires rather than theirs? Before Ella could respond, her sister was upon them. Tall and commanding, Clara's eyes narrowed as she looked from Jake to Ella, with an unsettling appraisal. "Ella, what are you doing here?" "I'm celebrating," Ella replied, drawing a deep breath steadied by Jake's presence. "It's the Harvest Festival. I can see that. You shouldn't have come here alone, not with everything going on." Claire shot a glance at Jake, suspicion etched on her features. "Who is this?" "Jake," he answered, stepping forward. "I'm a friend." "Right?" Claire scoffed, though her tone held a hint of caution. "What's your business with her?" "Just enjoying the festival, like everyone else," Jake said smoothly, keeping his tone light but firm. "Ella and I stop." Claire cut him off. "You don't need to defend yourself. Ella, you're coming with us." "And no, I'm not," Ella asserted, gaining confidence. "I'm not going back." "You're in danger," Claire replied, her eyes narrowing with concern. "You don't even know what they've been saying. The rumors." With each word, Ella felt the walls of her resolve begin to crack. Thoughts racing, she found herself lost in her sister's intensity, pushed against the tide of familial allegiance she had fought so hard to break. "Ella, please. You don't understand," Claire began, but Jake interjected, stepping between them. "Actually, I think we need to talk freely," he said, his voice steady and calm. "If you have something to say about Ella's life, let us say it." Ella's heart soared at his protectiveness, a spark igniting the fear within her. On one hand, she stood at a precipice, ready to dive into the unknown. On the other, the criminal whisperings from her past loomed large. Claire hesitated, looking between her sister and the stranger. "This isn't about you," she retorted angrily. "This is about Ella and keeping her safe." "From what?" Jake shot back, refusing to give an inch. "From her choices? From living her life?" Ella's heart raced. Would her family really try to control her decisions now? Did they think they could dictate who she should be, even amidst the brightness of the festival? As Claire opened her mouth to respond, a loud crash echoed from one of the nearby stalls, drawing the attention of the crowd. A moment of chaos ensued, people scattering in all directions, leaving Jake and Ella standing there wide-eyed, their breath hitching amidst the unfolding mayhem. "What was that?" Ella gasped, adrenaline surging through her veins. "Stay close," Jake instructed, holding her hand tighter as they turned to the disturbance. Unbeknownst to them, what happened next would change everything. Would they be able to navigate the storm ahead together, embracing the truth, or would Ella's past claim her once and for all? Ella's heart pounded in her chest as the chaos unfolded around them. People shouted, trying to comprehend the unexpected turmoil. A stack of boxes had toppled over, spilling colorful autumn decorations into the path. The laughter of the festival seemed to morph into a cacophony of fear and confusion. "Let us get out of here," Claire said, pulling at Ella's arm. The urgency in her sister's voice was unmistakable, but Ella felt resistance surging within her. She was tired of being dragged along by others' fears. "No," Ella replied, her voice stronger than she expected. "I want to run." "Not anymore." Claire blinked at her, clearly taken aback. The crowd began to settle, people slowly returning to their festivities, glancing back at the fallen stall with bemused expressions. "Ella, you let it be." "Claire," Jake interjected, his gaze unwavering. "She's made her choice. We need to talk about what's really going on here." For a brief moment, the world around them faded out, leaving just the three of them locked in a tense standoff. Despite the noise of the crowd, Ella felt a profound silence, a moment that felt like a decision point in her life. "Fine," Claire huffed, crossing her arms. "But just know that I'm only looking out for you. We're all looking out for each other. In our own way," Jake replied, loosening his grip on Ella's hand but not letting go completely. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm orange glow over the festival, Ella felt her heart open just a bit more. She turned toward the sounds of joyous laughter that still trickled through the air. The fairground radiated life. People were dancing, carrying on with their celebrations, blissfully unaware of the private battle that raged just a few feet from them. "Ella," Claire softened, her voice dropping as she stepped closer. You don't know what people are saying about you and about him. She looked pointedly at Jake, then back at Ella. I want you to be safe. Please. The whispers, they're getting louder. Ella swallowed hard. This wasn't just about the rumors. This was about the chains of her past threatening to pull her back into a life she fought so hard to escape. Would people ever stop seeing her as a reflection of who they wanted her to be? Those whispers can't control me anymore. Claire, she replied, breathing more steadily now. I'm done being afraid. The atmosphere around them felt electric. For the first time in years, Ella found that she genuinely believed in her own words. The weight of her past began to shift. But what if they're right? Claire pressed, a glimmer of fear in her eyes. Then we'll face it together, Jake said, stepping beside Ella, his presence adding an undeniable strength to her resolve. I'll be right here with her. An unsettling glance passed between Claire and Jake, two worlds colliding. But before more could be said, a piercing scream broke through the air, slicing through the last threads of calm. What was that? Ella gasped, her heart racing once more. Jake's expression transformed from confidence to concern. Let us find out, he urged. As they moved toward the source, Ella fought to keep her footing, gripping Jake's hand tightly. She felt fear surge but also an unfamiliar thrill. The unknown stretched before her, chaotic yet pulsating with promise. This was the moment that could change everything. Would she be able to confront her fears head-on, or would she retreat once more? Ella's resolve melted away the pain of what lay behind her, but it was still there looming over her head like a storm cloud, waiting for the right moment to unleash its fury. And as they rounded the corner, she braced herself for whatever awaited them. But deep within her, a flicker of hope ignited. Maybe, just maybe, this would be the moment that finally defined her. Where would the path lead them next? Ella rounded the corner, heart hammering violently in her chest, and what she found was both shocking and surreal. A group of children had circled around something in the ground, their excitement quickly turning to concern as they realized one of their own was trapped. It was a young girl, no older than 8, her ankle wedged beneath a heavy crate that had fallen from a nearby stall. No, no, get out of the way, Claire shouted, pushing past the onlookers, her voice cutting through the crowd like a knife. Ella and Jake exchanged wide-eyed glances. This was serious. Ella felt an urgent need to help as Claire rushed toward the fallen crate. Without thinking, she charged forward too. The group of children had backed away in fear, faces stricken with worry. Stay back, Claire instructed, her focus locked on the crate. We need to lift it off her. Right, Jake said, stepping into the fray. On 3. 1, 2 they heaved, muscles straining, and the crate budged slightly. The girl beneath it whimpered, looking up at her rescuers, eyes wide with fear. It made Ella's heart ache. Just hold on, Ella encouraged, pushing back the panic rising within her. We're gonna get you out. With a final push, they lifted the crate higher, adrenaline surging through her body like a wildfire. She could feel Jake's reassuring presence beside her, bolstering her strength, while Claire kept her eyes on the girl, urging her to wiggle free. And then, a flash of movement caught Ella's eye. A figure dashed past them somewhere in the growing crowd. An argument erupted, voices rising in a dizzying pitch. But she couldn't afford to focus on it, not now. Come on, Claire shouted, pushing with all her might, together with Jake, while Ella crouched down. Quick, you can do it. Just pull your leg out, Ella cried, her voice steadying the panic swirling through the little girl's eyes. The girl's foot darted free, and a moment later, she was crawling toward Claire, who swept her into her arms. You're okay. You're safe, Claire whispered, her voice laced with relief as the girl broke into sobs. Ella felt the weight of the moment wash over her, a swell of emotion that rushed through her, celebrating courage, compassion, and connections. In that heartbeat, she knew she had faced her fears. She stood her ground, and she helped save a life. Suddenly, a shout rang out again from the crowd. Someone call the police. Yes, got a knife. Panic washed over her once more. Fingers tightened around Jake's hand. What is happening? She breathed, scanning the throng of festival-goers, hearts pounding along with her own. Ella, Claire's voice, frantic yet commanding, pulled her back into reality. We need to get everyone out of here. But instead of running, a spark ignited within Ella. The tension that had gripped her now seemed like a call to action. Claire, Jake, she said firmly, adrenaline rushing through her veins. Let us not just run away. We can't let fear take control now, after everything we've faced. We need to help. Yes, people are scared, but... Ella, you can't be serious. Claire protested. I am serious. We need to make sure everyone is safe. Ella felt her heart race for a different reason now. Her fears replaced with a sense of duty. There was still a chance to do something. We can't let this define us. Jake looked at her with newfound respect. Then let us do it. Together. They turned in unison, ready to face the chaos, the uncertainty, the danger. Whatever lay ahead would test them, but they would face it as one. Ella took a deep breath, preparing herself for whatever was to come. We can't stand by. We can't be afraid. Not anymore. And just as they began to move, something flickered in the corner of Ella's eye. Someone she had seen before, someone who could change everything. But would it be her chance to confront the past or merely another distraction in a growing storm? Ella squinted through the teeming crowd, trying to make sense of the flash that had caught her attention. She edged closer, weaving through anxious festival-goers, searching for that glimmer of familiarity amid the chaos. The voices around her rose and fell like waves, fear palpable in the air. Ella, focus, Claire called out, urgency wrapping around her words. We need to get these kids somewhere safe. Without tearing her gaze away, Ella replied, I see someone. Wait. The figure standing just outside the throng was tall, their silhouette cutting through the panic. She felt a mix of recognition and dread. Jake, standing beside her, followed her stare. Who is it? He asked, a frown creasing his brow. I don't know, but Ella felt her heart throb. Memories flooded back, old, painful reminders of choices that haunted her. Let us move, Claire urged, pulling Ella back to the moment. We can't let fear stop us, right? She had a mission. They had to find the little girl's parents, ensure everyone was accounted for. Ella pushed aside her swirling emotions, focusing on the task at hand. All right, Jake, let us head this way. They moved as a unit, the trio now a tight-knit force amidst the pandemonium. Ella reached out to a nearby group of children, visibly shaken, and knelt down. Hey there, she said softly. Let us make sure everyone gets to safety. Okay? The kids nodded, eyes wide and trusting. Their innocent faces reminded her why this was worth the risk. She looked to Jake and Claire. Let us guide everyone to the parking area. Together, they formed a makeshift barrier, guiding frightened families away from the chaos that lingered and seemed to pulse like a living thing. Just then, a harsh shout rang through the crowd, sending her heart plummeting. Get down! A man appeared, wild-eyed, brandishing a knife. Fear erupted around them like fireworks. Ella instinctively stepped closer to the children, her protective instincts spiraling into full alert. Claire, Jake, we need to keep everyone calm, Ella shouted over the growing panic. Ella, let us get behind something solid, Claire urged, her face pale with fear. But Ella could not be moved. No, we can't leave these kids behind. We can't abandon them just because someone is scared. She stood her ground, staring down the threat, and something inside her flared. The memories of her own struggles, of facing fears that once seemed insurmountable, bolstered her resolve. She was tired of running. This was her moment. The attacker turned toward them, eyes wild and full of madness. In a heartbeat, Ella saw her chance to diffuse tension. Hey, it's all right, she called, her voice steady, ringing strong through the murmur of fear. You're not alone. We all want to help. The crowd fell silent, breaths held tightly as her words echoed through the throng. Jake's hand gripped her shoulder. Ella, be careful. We don't know what he'll do. But she was in the moment, heart racing, voice unwavering. Let us talk, just you and me, she urged. You can put the knife down and we can find a solution. I promise we'll listen. The man hesitated, confusion flickering across his face. It was a small victory, but it was there a crack in his facade. A crack in the fear gripping everyone around them. Ella, Claire hissed, worry threading her voice. What if she was making it worse? But she couldn't stand by. Not anymore. The room for fear was shrinking. Just when it seemed they might come to some understanding, the figure she'd seen earlier stepped back into view, standing firm and unyielding. Ella's heart raced. Don't let her fool you, the man shouted, raising the knife higher. Ella's breath caught in her throat. Why was this happening? Who was that stranger? In that moment, everything shifted, the weight of choice thundering in her chest. As the knife glinted in the sunlight, she realized that maybe this was the storm she had to face. But would she stand tall, or would fear take hold once again? Ella's heart hammered in her chest as the atmosphere thickened with tension. The man with the knife loomed closer, his eyes darting between the throng and her, searching for something, perhaps a reason to lash out or a path to retreat. Thoughts collided in her mind. She couldn't allow fear to dictate their fates, not when so many trusted her to protect them. Look, I know you're scared, she called out, her voice cutting through the panic like a lifeline. We can help you. Just tell us what's wrong. The crowd held its breath, watching the confrontation unfold, eyes wide with uncertainty. Ella could sense the pulse of fear in the adults around her, the parents who were still searching for their children, the kids who clung to her like a beacon in their storm. Claire knelt beside Ella, her eyes pleading. Ella, please think about what you're risking. But Ella couldn't think about that, not now. Listen to me. She pressed on, moving slowly to lessen any threat. You're not alone. We can all find a way through this together. The man paused, uncertainty flickering in the shadows of his eyes. Inside, Ella felt a new rush of determination surge through her. This was her moment, not for self-preservation, but for connection. She couldn't allow hatred and fear to win when connection and understanding hovered just within reach. Just put the knife down, she said gently, and let us talk. I promise we'll listen. We can help you. A stillness enveloped the area, filled only with the myriad of swirling emotions. The man lowered the blade slightly, confusion knitting his brow together as though her words were just beginning to reach him. Then suddenly, from behind, she saw the other figure she recognized, tall and confident, moving through the crowd like an anchor amidst the waves. It was Jake. Ella instinctively turned her head and his eyes caught hers, a silent communication sparking between them. He had seen her strength. He believed in her even when she was quaking inside. Ella, Jake shouted, concern twisting his voice. Get back. No, she shot back, unwilling to budge. If she took a step backward now, it would be surrender, an admission that fear was winning. We can work this out, she insisted, holding her ground. The wild-eyed man shifted his attention back to Ella, startled by her resolution. You want to help me? Yes, she exclaimed, her voice filling with urgency. Just let everyone go. Let us find a place where we can talk. But as hope shimmered in the air, a sudden noise shattered the tension. A loud bang, like thunder, echoed through the festival grounds. People nearby screamed, scattering like leaves caught in a gust. Ella's stomach dropped. The man jerked in response, instinctively raising the knife again. Stay down, he shouted, voice trembling with rage and fear. Ella's thoughts raced. This moment was slipping away. It could turn catastrophic in seconds if she didn't step closer to the man. Please, she called again, approaching cautiously. Just as she was about to reach him, the familiar figure of the stranger stepped up beside the man, speaking in low, urgent tones. Ella's heart seized again, recognizing his face as one shrouded in both authority and danger. Let me handle this, the stranger said calmly, fingers poised as though he possessed the power to defuse the entire situation. Ella's breath caught in her throat. The tension morphed into desperation, and the thought clawed at her that perhaps this could be a trap, and she had walked into it all willingly. Who are you? Ella shouted, despair sinking into her voice. What are you planning? As the stranger exchanged looks with the man, the crowd shifted restlessly, anxious for a resolution, yearning to understand. In that electric moment, everything felt suspended. The knife glinted ominously, their fates hanging in a fragile balance. What would happen next? Could there be a way to bring peace to this chaos? The knife trembled and the silence thickened, and the world seemed to pause, waiting for someone to make the next move. The world held its breath, as though time itself had stopped. Ella's heart raced and her mind spun. The scene was surreal. A man, clearly frightened and volatile, armed and shaking, and a stranger stepping into the fray, claiming control. It was an unfamiliar kind of power, one that felt both necessary and terrifying. Just listen, okay? The stranger urged, his tone calm, authoritative. The crowd seemed to lean in, desperate for guidance. Let me help you find your way out of this. The man with the knife wavered, his eyes flitting between Ella and the stranger, uncertainty gnawing at him. Ella took another step forward, her gut tightening with dread, but fueled by a flicker of hope. You don't have to do this, she said softly, her voice steady. You're not alone. Talk to us. The crowd surrounded them, a sea of faces reflecting a mix of fear, anticipation, and a desire for resolution. Children clung to their parents, eyes wide and watering. Ella glanced at Claire, who stood rooted in place, worry etched on her face. With a deep breath, Ella tried to project confidence. We can sort this out. You can trust us. I don't trust anyone. The man barked, voice cracking under the strain. The knife's blade gleamed as he brandished it, paranoia bubbling just below the surface. You think you can understand? Ella's mind raced through possibilities. She felt the weight of her words. I do know fear, she replied, her heart pounding. I know how it feels to feel trapped. But there's a way out. Let us find it together. The man shook his head, his expression shifting from anger to anguish. I can't. They won't let me go. They will make me who will. Jake's booming voice broke through the tension. He stepped closer, his strong presence a reassuring force. You don't have to do this. You're not alone in fighting back. The man's grip on the knife faltered, confusion flickering in his eyes, as if Jake had shone a light on a shadowed memory. Ella saw it care, perhaps even a memory from his past, mixed with desperation. The stranger took a small step toward the man, his voice dropping to a whisper. Think about what you truly want, my friend. It's within reach if you let us help. A slow realization began to dawn in the man's eyes, but panic resurfaced again, flooding his face as louder screams echoed from the far side of the grounds. It felt like everything was fracturing, the festival's joy shattering into chaos. The knife shot up again, his fear solidifying into threat. I can't. I can't. The man shouted, tears brimming as his world seemed to distort. Then don't. Ella shouted back, lending her voice the strength that she couldn't let slip away. Don't give in to this. It doesn't have to end like this. For a fleeting moment, time hung in the balance. Ella saw the fight within him, just as she had seen anguish in her own battles. She stepped even closer, her hands raised in surrender, sympathy flooding her veins. The man's gaze roamed over the crowd, slowly withering under the weight of their collective fear and concern. What if I can't put it down? Ella took another trembling step forward. What if you can? Just try. For yourself, for everyone you might hurt. The stranger and Jake held the man's gaze, mirroring Ella's unwavering conviction. Tiny moments of understanding fluttered between them like whispers carried on the wind. Then the knife wobbled in his grip. Hope kindled in Ella's chest, urging her forward. Please, she pleaded, her voice reaching for him across a chasm of fear. You're stronger than this. The knife's tip lowered, but the movement was tentative, fragile, like the hope suspended in the atmosphere. The crowd exhaled a collective breath as they stood on the edge of something profound. Would he let go, or would fear pull him back into chaos? Ella's heart hammered, but this time it spoke of possibility. And just as it seemed a path toward peace was opening, a piercing siren blared in the distance, slicing through the atmosphere, turning the fragile moment into a desperate race against time. What would happen next? Would the knife drop, or Would fear reign once more? The siren's wail split the air like jagged glass, sending ripples of panic through the crowd. Ella watched the man's eyes widen in terror, each glance darting to the approaching sound as if it heralded his doom. The knife trembled in his grip, mirroring the uncertainty that loomed larger with each passing second. Stay calm. Jake's voice flared, trying to cut through the chaos. We can handle this. Just breathe. Ella felt a wave of dread crash over her. Every heartbeat reminded her of the stakes, the man, the crowd, the innocent lives hanging in the balance. She could almost feel the weight of the knife's blade, somehow heavier with every breath she took. She tightened her fingers into fists, drawing strength from the hope building inside her, the belief that they could sway him. Listen to us. You're safe here, she said, her voice unwavering. You don't need to fear what's coming. Let us in. We want to help you. His grip on the knife faltered again, and for a merciful moment, Ella's eyes locked onto his. Amidst the swirling tide of emotions, she saw the man lost, frightened, and paralyzed by an unseen monster lurking in his past. The sirens grew louder, yet the world around them faded, leaving only the desperate connection between them. What if I get taken away? He sputtered, uncertainty now mingling with anger. What if they send me back? Who is they? Jake pressed, edging even closer, his imposing form a shield against the outside chaos. Who are you afraid of? You can't fight them like this. We're trying to help you find another way. The man's eyes darted toward the distant sirens, shadows of forgotten threats flickering across his face. They say I'm worthless. Just a number. They don't want me to be free. Ella's heart twisted. Beneath his exterior was a fragile spirit, battered and bruised by years of despair. She took a step closer again, her heart racing but resolute. You're not worthless. You're so much more than what they say. But you have to choose to let it go. The knife slipped slightly, quivering as if caught in the winds of change. The air buzzed with electric anticipation, each person in the crowd waiting to see what would happen next. A woman on the fringe held her child tighter, tears streaming down her cheeks, her fear mirrored by every gaze. Then the sound of footsteps echoed, drawing closer. Ella turned her head slightly, honing in on the shadows piercing through the crowd. The uniformed figures came into view, bathed in bright lights, the police, their arrival aimed at restoring order, but potentially deepening despair. No, the man cried out, his grip on the knife tightening again. They don't understand what's happening, right? Jake called out, raising his hands defensively. But we do. Please, don't see them as your enemy. We just want to get you out safely. Stay with us. Time felt like it was slipping through Ella's fingers, much like the knife she hoped would descend. She stepped forward, breaking the line of crowding bodies, letting her own fear blaze away as she advanced toward him. Please, you have the power to stop this. Don't let fear dictate your choices. With the police advancing, the man's breathing grew erratic, desperation flashing in his eyes. What if I can't? His voice trembled, breaking beneath the weight of years filled with battles he never chose. You have to. Let us help guide you. You're not alone anymore, Ella urged, her voice a lifeline amidst the thrumming tension. The knife lowered a fraction more. Each moment felt like a heartbeat lost forever, but the flicker of hope remained. Ella's heart raced as she closed the distance, ready to catch him if he stumbled. She and Jake stood united, willing to shoulder the weight of uncertainty together. And just as the chaos seemed on the brink of dissolving, a shout erupted from the back of the crowd, loud and shrill. Look out! A voice pierced through the night, turning everyone's attention toward the source of the alarm. Dread washed over Ella as the chaos reignited. What now? Would this be the breaking point? Would fear return triumphantly? Ella's heart leaped into her throat as the crowd shifted, nervous energy crackling around them. Whispers of concern rippled through the onlookers, and the man with the knife turned, eyes wide with panic. This was the moment they had been waiting for. Would he give in, or would everything collapse into chaos? The shout rang out again, startling Ella. A figure stumbled forward from the crowd, fear imbued in every movement. Jake instinctively moved closer to Ella, his presence solid and grounding amidst the turmoil. "Stay calm," he urged, his eyes never leaving the man with the knife. "Please," Ella shouted, stepping into the brewing storm. "We're here for you. Even if they come, you're not alone." Heart pounding, she forged ahead, clutching onto the spark of courage glowing deep inside her. Memories flooded back the life she had fought to escape, the boy she used to be lost to shadows. She drew strength from that girl, the one who had endured. The man's grip on the knife faltered. "You don't understand," he shouted. "They want to hurt me." His desperation reverberated in the charged air, a chilling reminder of his tortured past that echoed with Ella's own fears. "But we do understand," Ella called out, locking eyes with him. "We can relate. We fight battles, too. All of us. But we can choose hope instead." She took another step closer, her heart raced, resonating with empathy. The knife trembled in his grip, cracking beneath the weight of confusion and fear. "Look around you," she exclaimed, urging him to see the crowd. "We're not here to hurt you. We're here to lift you out of darkness." Beneath the roar of the sirens, a flicker of clarity flashed in the man's eyes. Her words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. He scanned the crowd, their faces twisted in concerned parents wide-eyed, children clutching their loved ones, all united in fear yet pulsing with humanity. Each person longed for understanding. "Please," Jake echoed, his voice steady. "We know it feels like all you've got is fear, but we want to fight that with you. Just drop the knife. It's okay to be vulnerable." In that moment, Ella saw the wall around the man begin to crack. A shifting of the crowd reminded Ella. This wasn't just about the man and his knife. It was about the connections they shared, something that could shatter even the toughest walls built by darkness. Suddenly, as if burdened by the weight of his pain, the man lowered his weapon slightly. Tears brimmed in his eyes, battling with the storm of emotions swirling within. "I don't want to be afraid anymore," he murmured, a tremor of hope slipping through the barriers he thought were unbreakable. The police moved closer, but Ella remained steadfast. "You're stronger than this. You can break free. Just trust us." The knife clattered to the ground, echoing like a proclamation. Sobs racked the man's shoulders, his facade crumbling as he let go of the fear that had bound his heart for so long. A wave of relief washed over Ella, and adrenaline coursed through her as the crowd erupted in cautious applause. Jake stepped forward, standing beside her, both offering reassurance and strength. Ella reached out, her hand comforting on the trembling figure, inviting him to take the first step toward some semblance of peace. "That's it," she whispered gently, tears spilling down her cheeks in relief and joy. "You're so much more than your pain. You are valuable. We can show you a way forward." The man stumbled, letting Ella help guide him, a glimmer of light breaking through his darkness. What had once been fear morphed into possibility, sparking hope not just for him but for everyone witnessing this profound transformation. Suddenly, the festival lights brightened as laughter swept through the crowd again, breaking the lingering darkness. Ella blinked up at the colorful banners fluttering in the warm breeze. The world felt less heavy, the chaos fading against the sweet notes of life playing around them. They had faced down fear together. They had reclaimed joy. Just then, she turned to Jake, who enveloped her in a tight embrace. "You did it," he whispered, his voice warm and gentle against her ear. "You brought him back." With a radiant smile breaking across her face, she felt warmth spread through her heart. "We all did it." As they stepped back, a swell of voices rang out from the townsfolk, renewed in their connections, the laughter, the smiles, the hands reaching out to one another. Ella looked around at all of it, the family she had yearned for and the love she had found. It was her moment of realization. She didn't just belong with Jake or her estranged family. She belonged everywhere that love existed. The festival was alive, filled with hope, color, and the promise of brand new beginnings. This was her community, and they had faced fierce storms and emerged stronger together. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with strokes of orange and pink, Ella took a deep breath, feeling an unwavering sense of peace. She held Jake's hand tightly, knowing their story had only just begun. And finally, The elusive sense of home she had craved enveloped her. Grounding her here was where everything felt right. Now, this is the moment for all of you. If you felt that surge of emotion, that flicker of hope, then you need to subscribe immediately. Don't miss our next exclusive stories that will touch your heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and share the joy. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your thoughts matter. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting this channel through your actions. Let us keep this beautiful story flowing.